Hello, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
And I'm Josh.
And this is The Rebel Files, your one-stop shop for everything Star Wars, including news, notes, and discussion, which there really isn't any news.
No, it's been like horribly dead the last couple of weeks.
So the holiday, and Bob Iger did come out and say there's going to be no mid-level movies on the streaming service, which we knew, and the park will be ready in June or July, which we kind of knew. So no new news or whatever.
No, nothing that you didn't know already going into
right.
the holidays.
It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and we might get more as we get ready for Celebration. We've talked about that in the past, but I don't expect to really hear anything for the next couple of weeks. So we'll be doing a lot of discussion pieces, and then once news starts to get going and stuff like that, we'll do that. We asked two things from you. One, subscribe to the channel, share with all your Star Wars friends. It's not that hard. You hit the bell for notifications, and then you send it off to all your friends. Really easy. Two, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/popculturecult. I will add it in the description. Please sign up for our Patreon. It is a $1 level to start off. $1 a month. Not even like $1 a day or $1 a week. It's $1 a month.
How about Tree Fitty?
For $2.50.
Oh, okay, $2.50.
$2.50. You can vote in a poll that we do once a month for us to review classic movies, and then at $5 you get to pick a movie for us to watch within reason. The first one is it's in French. It's gonna be an interesting conversation. But sign up for Patreon, $1 level. You lose that in the couch every month, so it's not that hard. So please do that. So we and Janice and about 40 other people, it felt like, did a Las Vegas trip together.
Yep.
Where we did some shopping and we did some gambling and we did some shopping and we lost our asses at gambling. I don't know how you did.
There was some chow in there. Actually, I did pretty good. I had a bunch of comp dollars I had to use.
Oh, okay.
So I just went. Audrey and I went down one night and basically dumped the comp dollars in the machine and basically got it paid back in cash like twice over. So
nice.
I was like, cool.
I just should have give you my money and we could have saved a bunch of stuff.
Drink cash.
But one of the things that we did when we were there, one of the reasons we went up there together was to do the Void VR. The Void. Which is at the Canal Shops at the Venetian. And it is a VR experience. Yep. They have two different ones going on there right now. They have the Wreck-It Ralph, and then they have the one that's important to us as the Star Wars fans.
They also have the Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's right. They did have the
the
Ghostbusters. I didn't see anybody going for the Ghostbusters.
No, it was all Wreck-It Ralph.
It was Wreck-It Ralph or Secrets of the Empire.
Secrets of the Empire, yep.
And it is a fully immersive VR experience. And you're the VR expert, so I want you to talk about the technical stuff, and then we both can talk about the experience itself.
Yeah, so the technical side of it, I mean, obviously these types of room scale experiences are starting to kind of to come up now. Usually it's things like zombie shooting and everything else. So to give anyone out there kind of an idea what the setup is like, basically you're carrying your PCs on your back.
Yeah.
They're built into the actual
and not
backpack.
overly heavy.
No, they're not overly heavy at all. This is common VR tech that they have out and available right now. If you have high-end laptops, you can put them in a backpack so you can run your VR headsets. However, the whole entire infrastructure is actually built around the experience.
Right.
So whereas you might see some of the promos for the zombie shooters and everything else, this is actually designed to be a little bit more of a, I guess, like a holodeck type of an experience.
Yeah.
So they tailor it in kind of a fashion to where if anybody ever played in the Photon arenas, like back in the 80s, I might be dating myself at this point, you kind of go in through a system like that. You get the backpack, you get the headset, and you go on. So the way it's crafted essentially is you go into a room. Now, we didn't get any behind-the-scenes looks at it, and I probably would have killed for a behind-the-scenes look at how they had it set up with the cameras. But it's basically a big, kind of like almost like you would like a paintball arena. But it's a little more higher tech than that. So within the paintball arena, your headset is on the entire time. Once the experience starts, your headset is on. So the question is, well, how come you don't run into things? That's because they build the arena to match the experience. Essentially, they've built it to spec. They've crafted the game essentially around it.
Right.
So when you are actually interacting with devices and stuff in the game, levers and everything, the camera's actually picking you up, move a real lever,
Right.
so it simulates it in
I
the
actually
game.
grabbed the lever.
Yeah, and it opens up the door. So they do it a little bit differently, though, and that's because it's meant to be story-driven. So everything that you're doing, everything you're touching in there has a purpose in the game. The cool aspect, and I think this was probably the wow factor for most of us, we weren't expecting it when we walked in, was the heat from Mustafar and the wind as you get onto the skiff. And that for me was like, whoa, okay, that was
skiff
cool.
with no railing, and you walk out and you're like, ooh, there's heat coming. Okay, so it's really there. And so you're like kind of doing the whole like putting your hands out to see where it was and stuff.
Yeah, and for anybody out there, if you've tried VR, you know about the vertigo factor. You know it actually does exist. It's very uncomfortable. And when you're flying over Mustafarian lava with no railing on a skiff, and you're looking at it, the vertigo does start kicking in. I mean, there were times I was walking around like stepping to see if there actually was a tangible surface in front of me. I think that the setup is good. There was some lag. We had lag.
We talked about some of the lag. There's a segment where you're putting in a K2 is on one side of the door and you're on the other side, and K2 it's Simon Says kind of thing, and so he's doing the thing and I'm doing the buttons as the counter, and I like lost my hand. Like my hand is completely gone. So I'm ghost essentially pushing the buttons, and then I got the order wrong, and then K2 starts yelling at you like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yep, you can't put the buttons in. Meanwhile, the rest of us are sitting over there shooting a multitude of stormtroopers that are coming through. And by the way, you get guns.
You actually get physical.
You actually get physical blast techs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're blast techs in the game, but outside of it, but they have like different function buttons on them and everything. So when you're shooting, you are literally sitting there shooting a tangible weapon. It's not like your Joy-Cons that you get in the Oculus Touch.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Do we want to get into spoilers about it?
There's a couple things that I do want to talk about. When we first went in, now one of the things that I want to talk about is we got there. We got in line. It took us about 10 minutes to get in line to get just a time to come back, and it ended up being like an hour and a half later. And then we got there, and then we ended up waiting in line again for like 20 minutes, even though. And then we ended up going later than what our start time was.
Right, and you can combat that, by the way, to a degree by actually purchasing your tickets online for specific
and
times.
Moving, and stuff. But it just seemed like the front, they were like understaffed that day because I think
it was the holidays.
It was a holiday weekend, and so they were a little understaffed. And by the time we went in, they had a lot more staff there, and it seemed like the go flow a little bit better. But we walked into the debriefing room to get the starting message or whatever it was, and it was actually Cassian Andor.
That was Diego Luna.
Diego Luna was actually the one giving us the breakdown of what was going on. So it was like immediately it was like, oh, there's like credibility to this. This is an actual like the real actor, the real character giving us the orders to go on this thing, and then we go in and you get on the ship and you're busting your way into Mustafar, essentially. And you have K2SO with you, and it's Alan Tudyk who's actually doing the voice. So they actually got everybody to be part of it, and I thought that part was really, really cool.
That clarification out there, Diego Luna was not actually in the building. It was the video.
No, he was in the building.
That'd have been so cool. we never played it, just been like fanboying the entire time.
But the video itself of him, he's like telling you like what this mission is going to be, and with the holograms and everything else that's going on, it was really cool that they did that. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a real experience. And then they put you in the room to put your VR set and everything on, and then you go into the room to start the whole mission. And the mission was what, 12, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was probably about 15 or so minutes, I think, from beginning to, and once we actually started getting in there playing, it seemed like it went longer than I expected it to. I will say for a fact that, Lucasfilm's obviously behind this.
They're supposed to be doing one of these at Galaxy's Edge.
Correct. Yes, they are supposed to do it. And I think they were using kind of Vegas as kind of a flagship.
Right.
Because I think there's another Void arena in like Walnut Creek, back where we used to like the BattleTech stuff. Here's the thing. We know full well that they don't really do these types of things anymore without it being canon to some degree.
Right.
So that's where we kind of get into that plot point of it. And I know when we walked out, one of the things that we kind of were talking about was the MacGuffin of the experience, and that was.
I have tons of questions about what the MacGuffin is and what we're actually going for.
Yeah, so we would just tell them anyway. So in case you don't get the opportunity to actually go experience it for yourself, and by the way, we do recommend doing it at least once.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
It's just cool.
Yeah.
But the MacGuffin at the end of it, you end up crashing through, and Vader comes out. And about that point, I started getting giddy because I thought I was getting a lightsaber. And I thought we were going to have fun, but close quarters probably wouldn't work too well.
We were dressed as stormtroopers.
That's true.
So
you never know, hey. I'm pretty short for a stormtrooper.
If you force pulled a lightsaber across the room, I was leaving.
That'd be so cool, though. I'm short for a stormtrooper, so. The package that you're actually trying to acquire is a very, very odd lightsaber, and I'm not even going to go so far as to call it a lightsaber because it's like this crazy hybrid of a dark saber and a lightsaber, but it's
got two blades,
almost like a hand and a half, but it's got two pronged blades that come out like a tuning fork. It was just cool.
It was cool.
It was one you hadn't seen yet.
Yeah.
In canon. So because this takes place while Cassian is still alive, is there going to be some segue with this plot device potentially in the Cassian Andor series?
Yeah. Actually, that would make a little bit of sense since you already have everybody there. It also being on Mustafar and having all of that, there's a lot more stormtroopers there than I remember ever being in Mustafar and anything else.
Oh yeah,
and so that whole concept was just really interesting to be there. Of course, you're going to get Vader. It was a little weird when Vader came out because the graphics. I'm trying to figure out like his face was not right because he was so far away.
Yeah, and he was all shadowed and weird.
Lighting. So I thought it was like some kind of alien with a big black robe. And then as he got closer, you start firing at him, and then
the lightsaber
ignites, and it's like oh, and whoever they got to do his voice does a good job. It's not James Earl Jones,
no,
but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But to have this dark saber-ish and Cassian and K2SO, it makes you wonder what they're gonna how they're gonna connect it in with everything. Like Galaxy's Edge itself is in the Thrawn books. The cantina that's gonna be there at Galaxy's Edge is in the Thrawn books.
Yep.
And the whole thing itself is called something, and I cannot remember the name of the port. Batu.
Planet is the planet.
Yes, but the
planet's Batu.
The town, the spaceport itself that it's all based off of, it's named something, and I can't remember what it is. But all of that is also canon. So having all and this is supposed to be part of the Star Wars experience at Galaxy's Edge. So having everything connective, I find it really kind of cool. I'm glad we did it. It was probably about $25 more in price than I actually wanted to spend.
Yeah, it was a little on the higher end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. Don't do it as a repeat; it would get costly. But I think for that one-time experience to go kind of on twofold. One, because it's Star Wars and it's a unique story. It's not prime canon, or it's not prime trilogy. It's kind of dealing with the Rogue One style aspects and the missions there. Also, just because there's a couple. I mean, it's Disney. Disney Imagineering gets behind some of this stuff, and they like to take it a next step. The fact that you were fully immersive with heat and wind and those sensations, vibrations, and everything else, I popped the headset up a couple of times. It's just gray walls.
Right.
But to go back into it, it was just a cool, deep experience. I do want to go back and do the Wreck-It Ralph one.
Yeah. I have heard the Wreck-It Ralph one is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so
I do want to go back and try that.
Cool
so I think it's a good price. Yes, it's a little high priced. But it's one of those experiences that you don't always get. You can't go everywhere and have.
Right.
And our home VR is not up to that par yet. So I
don't have the moving floor and stuff yet.
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah, totally. I say it's worth it. I think it's a good example of what room scale, multi-connected for lack of a better term, MMO RVR.
Yeah.
Is kind of becoming.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, that was our review of The Void, Secrets of the Empire. Have you guys done it? We want to ask you guys if you wanted to do it. If you do it, please let us know. Leave us a comment. We're going to do another video after this and have a discussion part because we want to keep these to about 15 minutes. And so we're going to do another video here and talk about Palpatine. So let us know. Like this video, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, sign up for our Patreon, and all of our social media stuff and the Patreon link are all in the description. Please do that. And until next time, I'm one with the Force.
And the Force is with me.